Okay. Now we get to see if I fixed it or if I ruined it. But did it fix though? Okay. 1080p, baby. All right. I'm a dummy, but we fixed it. Well, that did work for the sharpness. I was getting a little frustrated at it being soft. I thought last night I had corrected any issues with that. You know, the current viewer count will be hampered, but yes, we got to be jamming now. Where were we? Let's bail back. That's pretty good. All right. Now that we've had and now that it's been given some time to dry, we'll further insist on these recesses. In this rear section, I'm just going to totally slather in that shade color. Make that disappear. Chemical Fencer says full 1080. I'm giving everybody the full 1080 here. It's going to be good. Oh, I did it again. Painted right into there. Golly. Let it dry again. I'll fix that. Wicked Jackson says, you kicked us all off. My PC can't handle this type of quality. Looks great. I stopped by last night while you were tinkering with your new setup. Oh, well, thank you, Jax. What color should his eyes be? Blue? Green? What are we thinking? Got the palette cam going. I think the palette cam might be the thing I'm most excited about. Frickin' palette cam. Jick says probably blue. Green on green might be too much. But yeah, there's a lot of blue in that armor. So I've worked it with this was that Tamiya blend I was working on a while back. So it is a lot of greens from the highlights and a lot of blues from the shadows. How crazy is that? So it's got blue, and then it looks more green. I suppose I could hold it in focus. And Jex, since you actually have an appreciation for what Tamiya clears can do, this was alternating layers and mixtures between Tamiya clear, green, and blue. Like I coated them in a 70-30 mix, blue to green, and then put full blue from the bottom and full green from the top in alternating layers. And I used like a clear metallic, like I used a darker metallic in the shadows and a brighter metallic in the highlights, and I just started filtering over top to create that candy, which was an interesting endeavor. at this size, you know, thumb for scale. I need to get a tiny banana. We need to get like a like a banana for scale, but like an in-scale banana. If anybody has an idea of where I can get one, that would be great. It was my first shot with the clears as well, so I learned a lot about how they thin, how they want to react. Trill Iron says those wings on his chest plate are so nice. Oh, thank you. I thought about making them metallic, but I didn't know if it would be too busy or what it would turn into, so I just kind of slowed it down. We just left them clear like this with the rest of the armor, and I think it reads well. There's just a lot going on with him in general. Hopefully that's right, Mel Tuft. Thank you so much for that follow. Welcome on in. Hope you're having a good start to your week. I'm trying to debate on the eye color. I think blue's the right color. What do you think? Straight cobalt? Jack says, I remember this one Lego set had a banana in it, but I don't know the scale. Trill Iron says, there's already so much, maybe painting them a different color would be too much indeed. Yeah, a lot of times when I'm painting, I'll hold off on something because I don't know what I want it to be. My thought is you can always add to it. It's very, very hard to backtrack and go the other way. Like, let's just bring Sorsha into the frame here. So on Sorsha here, I painted her shoulder, her non-metallic gold. We painted this a couple of different ways before we settled on what it is here. And so this is the same trim around her chest. And the jacket. The jacket didn't start out white. We were thinking brown initially, and I thought, it's too much red. And then I had different trims I tried on. I didn't like that either. And now I've kind of sketched in the highlights here, and I need to, I need to finish this up, but her face even. We worked on her face a couple different ways. We painted her hat different ways. You just got to figure it out. And like, you can see that I've worked my way around with this trim, but I didn't paint all the trim one way and then go another. I just kind of based them, and we still have to complete this shoulder. But like, here you can see how smooth I fought to, I might die this morning, excuse me, to get these non-metallics as smooth as they are. But we still have to do her backpack. I disconnected this other tuft because we got to clean up where I overpainted from her hat. But yeah, sometimes I just hold off on things until I know where I want them to be. And yeah, I think it was too much. And I debated on the knee too, because like you look at his knee armor, how he's got this little cap. It would make a lot of sense to paint that metallic. But I was like, nah, because everything else is trimmed out the same way. We'll leave that in the blue-green metallic, and then we'll trim it around. And I think I'm way happier with that. But to me, you paint the least of it, and then you can always add to. And I do think the coloring on the face looks so nice on Sorsha. Thank you. I was going to take her to Adepticon to the private. She's a privateer press model, and I was going to enter her into their Grand Master tournament. I was hopeful that I would, just get to meet somebody that could give me some advice. I was just going to try my level best on her. And so, yeah, her skin tone and this armor, you're looking at my level best on that. And we worked let me pick her up a little bit. You can see where her highlights are and her shades. People don't usually show you the bottom of the mini because they only want you to look at it like an Instagram pose. Like, this is where you should look at my model. Look at it this way. But like, you can see where her shadow is and her highlights. It was a whole experiment, this lady. Let's get back to the paint. And now that this is dried a bit, we can might not be enough paint. You gotta have enough paint on the brush to get it on the model, you know. Just trim out these recesses. I think that goes a long way, personally. Yeah, it's kind of crazy what you realize you can and can't do between the different scales. I think that's one of the biggest reasons I advocate for people actually practicing to paint on, like, I mean, this thing is, compare him to Sorsha. Like, let's just take her shoulder pad, for example. Like, her shoulder's the size of his whole torso and head. There's so much more room for activities. Mel Tuft says, this reminds me, oh, look out. Is that Twitch Prime? Oh, my little emotion didn't play. Make sure I don't have that shut off. Hang tight. Thank you so much for that subscription. Let me figure out what we have shut off. We got our sub goal. Fix this browser. Says her armor is wonderful. Oh, thank you. That, like I said, that was, you were looking at some serious effort. We painted her on stream. Mel, I'm gonna force play your my little cheers. I just got this camera the end of last week, and so I was hooking it up over the weekend, and this is what should have played. Cheers to you. And for anybody that followed, now why didn't the corgi wiggle? What is that about? But yeah, I don't know why some things work and some things don't with Streamlabs. I gotta learn more about it. Let's try to insist on this shadow. One of the nice things about this Nuln Oil is it has a matted medium in it. It dulls the shine where you put it. And so when you take it and just apply it technically as like they might call a glaze, you get some fun results because it steals that shine away. And that way I can kind of control where the highlights are with the true metallics. I'm going to do the same thing in here. Even on the blue green. Nerd404 says, "Oh my god, you changed sides." No, I don't like it. You don't like the left side of me? What's wrong? You know? What's up with that? I'm going to go ahead and need you to get on board, nerd. I was clicking around on your stream the other day. I was lurking and accidentally unfollowed you. So if you saw a refollow, that's what that was about. I did it and I went, ah, hell. And then I fixed it. Nerd says, I got used to see... Wait a second. I never wanted to know what your face looked like on the other side. I got used to all that stuff leaned up beside you, and now it's just weird. It's still back there. Don't worry about that. If anybody's interested, my wife and I are in the middle of a home remodel, and a lot of projects. And here I'm in our what will eventually be a dining room. For now, it's open space for my desk. An area that I was permitted to be in. Try to pick out these little masky spots. They look like little face plates, don't they? Like sort of dark lining the model here with this wash. I kind of like the results, so I think we'll continue. Yeah, another one of those things where you may not know what you want to see happen until you get into it. I'm pretty happy with it. Truth be told. But yeah, nerd, how's life been? How was your weekend? For Bias, good morning. For Bias, I don't know why your name is so fun to say, but it is. It very much is. Hope you are well. Nerd says, at Pneumatic, 2 words, 1 happy little bottle, panel liner. Don't you worry about the panel lining. We're going to use this Nollan oil because I do like panel liner. Let's not front. I have a nice container of it. In fact, ka-chow, chow chow. What's that? Good stuff. Very good stuff. If anybody's looking to do some bulk work, this is a good way to do it. Very good way to do it. But this is a one-off model, and I'm not looking to play around with that. This is also a commission, and I have a rule when I'm doing commissions, and it's like a preference of mine in general. I prefer the look of a limited palette, and so if I don't have to introduce something else, I won't. And here's a prime example of that. I have been using this color to shade and dull back the metallics in general, and so we're going to continue along with that. A great painter once said, if you apply a color to the model, you got to use that color everywhere, and that holds true for me. And so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna shade back this armor. But Nerd is correct. Panel liners are incredibly useful. For Bias, shouting out to Nerd. Nerd says, those are some sexy lines you're dropping in the wash, especially with the 5-inch brush. This is actually size 1. Don't worry about this. Exercising that steady hand. You all can get in here and see all the nitty-gritty little I don't know what to say, like all my rough blends and transitions now, or smooth transitions. You know how we work that. Pretty happy with this shoulder pad now. The shoulder pad was bugging me pretty good. Trying to get everything smooth and happy. Hit these transitions. And that's a thing that happens a lot, especially for me, is I'll get into highlighting something and I'll realize that I've lost my mid-tone or I've lost my shadow, and like without something to dark beside your highlight, you just have a really bright spot. And so that's where the shoulder pad is right now. It's just a really bright spot. But here, after this panel lining happens, come on now, Sometimes the paint doesn't want to come off the brush. After we apply some emphasize? What's the term here? After we insist in these edges, we ought to have something nice to look at. In some way, it will bring this whole area into focus. Nerd says, then if you apply a color, you have to use it everywhere. Then why is this dude green and not pink like his face? Yeah, that's a good point. So his face is his skin tone, right? But the color that it's shaded with is the shadow color in the red. Okay? And if I was better, I should probably have used that same color in the armor somewhere. But I lack the technical precision to do that. But it is the same shade color in the leathers. So the red, that purpley red that you see right here, it is the same color that we used to shade his face, as to shade the leather, as to shade the red armor. But yeah, I lack the vision to do that on the armor as well. Forbias says, I love panel liners. So glad Nerd introduced me to it. With my tremors, it's impossible to do straight lines for me. So are you just varnishing and then dropping the panel liner in there, Forbias? Let me see if we... This is one of the best ways to do like batch lining. Hopefully we're coming across here in focus. Says pretty much, yeah, that's when I'm doing armies, that's absolutely my go-to. I'm not dogging panel liners at all. Like I said, I've got some just the Tamiya black right now. Aid Cook is actually who turned me onto it, and I think it's really good. But you know, what I might do for my army or for an army commission is a different thing than when somebody wants to shell out the ducats on a high-end commission piece, even if it is a high-end tabletop. I'm not gonna cut a corner, and it's not that it's even a corner cut. I'm not trying to dog it. I realize how that sounds in a moment. There's I just can be more technically precise with this. That's all. That's all. That might just be my limitation with panel liners being newer to me. I like this better. I think rather than like painting the feathers a different color, I like the idea of like shading them back a little bit. Kind of picking out their details with the liner. That'll help it stand out a bit. Once it dries. I think stipple gestures might be a little much. Ooh. Bear with me. Okay, clean that up. Forbias says, I use Nuln Oil as well as Agrax Earthshade. I feel all the tools have a place to achieve your goal. That's a good way to look at it too. Like every job has a proper tool, and I think when it comes to lining, there's all kinds of different ways to do it. Like sometimes I'm doing lining on things, and it's on like a face. Like you're not gonna panel line a face, but so you use something else. Use a wash for different things. If you're trying to get like Space Marine Army or Terminators up and running, like panel liner, just grab it, get it done. You're doing a whole dreadnought. Like who wants to do this to a tank? It is tedious. Okay. Let's rip this line underneath here. Perhaps we'll get this line up top. Establish a little line down here. All these little details, I think they should matter, So this is always a nice step to go through and look at your work and see where things maybe need to clean up. But also it plays a nice trick on your eyes, bringing everything fully sharp. Forbias says, in fact, I need to get some Nuln Oil. I had a bad tremor last night and the bottle hit. Oh no! That's tough. Were you in the stream when Justin dumped his, I forget what G-Dub wash it was, but he dropped like a fresh bottle on the, dumped it over, trying to close it with one hand. One of the best clips I've ever made. Here on this elbow piece, I think we kind of lost a little bit of this trim here. When I was painting the red, I may have over painted a little bit. So we're going to bring some of this back. Let's get a little more paint. Shouldn't laugh at the poor guy's expense. Actually, because I clipped him, I felt bad, and then actually donated the cost of a pot to him. I'm like, that's on me. He's getting so worked up. For biases I heard about it, didn't see it happen. Well, we can watch that clip if you like. I have it on hand. Balzicious says G-Dub paint is good stuff, but they made the pots a booty trap. Their pots are disasters thing. As cased by their older pots still running well, and their newer pots don't last, a month or two. Grona says that for biased gods, I hate that. I print feet for my new pots. Yeah. A lot of people do that. We were going to paint his eyes a color. Don't anybody tell Daniel, but I'm about to use a very small brush. My roof loft. Look out. Look at him. Chemical Fencer comes in. I found 1/48 scale bananas. That's hilarious. Got that fruit stand, you know. Now, if only they had a banana for scale, I'd know what 1/48 scale banana looked like. That'll be the new thing. I tend to judge whenever I see somebody. Ooh, I'm not gonna be able to get my glasses back on. Whenever I see somebody posting up a picture of like their model with a coin, it's like, I get it, guy. It's small. I know it's small. But now if I had a fruit stand box full of bananas. Alright. Who wants to see me mess this up? Oh boy. The odds any of this paint wants to actually come off the brush. Says those Broken Toad. No, these are very Russian. These are for nail art. Boom! Boom! Now we gotta clean them up. Bear with me a second. Let me pick this up to my face. Well, that's not god awful. They're bad, but they're not so bad. Just fixing the shape on that one very slightly. Now I'm going to fix the shape on this one ever so slightly. Bear with me, guys. I'll get to the chat here in a second. Tedious work here. Anybody else excited to ruin this thing when I go to dot them? Oh boy. I think this is smaller than that. Such a small amount of paint that it like wants to dry before I get there. Careful. Redo the left one. Chemical Fencer says, I found a paint that dries on my brush before I get there. Yeah, Balsacious, where are we at here? Sorry, catch back up. Forbaya says, well, before I cleaned up, I was dipping my brush into it while sitting on the floor and applied it to 10 models I'm working on. Well, that's good. Balsacious, daggone, Forbaya. Forbaya says, well, I was not going to completely waste it. I can't get more till after the first. Yeah, that stuff comes at a premium. Balsacious says, I just got a set of bomb wick igniters, and I love them. I got a Dookie and Newton S7. Dookie and Newton. Windsor and Newton? It sucked. Then months later, I realized it was I who sucked. I love my Series 7s. Chemical Fencer says, yeah, the 0.5mm pen. I found out the paint dries on the brush before I get it there. The air conditioning exasperates the situation. Ayo, random streamer and chat. What up, Cow on the Plane 16? How are you? We're about to try to fix a wonky left eye here. I am random streamer to you. All right, that's okay. We'll take it. Suppose that's acceptable. We're gonna come in here and make sure he still has a white to his eye. Leave that wonky. Balsacious says, leave that wonky eye, bro. He's got lots of lazy-eyed beasts in the world. Leave that thing looking left. One of the biggest things I think went well on Sorcia's face here was that she looking the right way. It's most of the darn fight. Cow on the Plane says, I was lurking until I found your stream. So do you exclusively paint 40K models? Do you paint others? Oh, I paint all kinds of stuff. We paint it all. It's commission. So we paint what people want to send in. If you're interested, down below, new camera placement, down below, there's an Instagram link. You could have a look at that. See what we work on in here. All right. I'm reasonably happy with all of that now. Tim Dan says, paint retarder. What paint retarder? To get it to dry? Excuse me. Over 60 says, my paint dries fast due to living in the desert. I've tried everything. I understand that there's fluid that you can add, but can't remember the name. Yeah, there's different retarders you can use. Like glazing mediums will help with that. I don't know I'm realizing the dude that I know that paints and lives in Arizona has not gotten back to me. I would ask the pigeon squirter, but he just complains about it drying anyway. He don't have a solution. Bias hollering at Daniel. Just alternating between our base metallic and our highlight metallic here, as well as cementing that wash in. Cow on the Plain says, they look great, by the way. Would love to start painting models, but I still need a few extra cash before I buy. Oh, there you go. Yeah. If you have access to Reaper Bones models and you want to try something out, you can always look up their stuff. They come at a great price. They're only a few dollars and they're really nice. I don't think anybody competes with their quality anywhere near that price. Use some actual black here on these. These recesses aren't so well sculpted. I'm gonna actually just kind of freehand them in, fix the molding issue. Steven says listening to Chris and playing Total War Warhammer. There you go. Total War. I need to get one of the new ones and play around. I haven't played a game in so long. Alright, I think that's going to help out quite a bit. This track's got the air horn, huh? Tidy up that little piece as well. 6:45. Hex Treg, good day. Hex, I cannot find 1 ounce of information on painting those gray word bears. The search continues. I did not ignore your question. Cow on the Plain says, have you tried painting Hero Forge models? Been seeing them recently on YouTube. I have not, but we have a handful of people here that are hobbyists in the chat. Maybe they have. Guard Daddy hopping in. Good morning, back at you. How are you today? Extra says, yeah, the Citadel scheme seems to be elusive to find. I'll get some answers on that. I'm going to have to phone a friend kind of thing, but yeah, they don't have much information on it. And I'm not familiar enough with their lineup of paints to just be like, oh, hey, get these paints, they ought to accomplish that goal. But you're in the Discord, we'll get it figured out. Chemical Fencer says to Cow, what did Cow say? what can I say? They are pretty good. I made a cleric for a D&D campaign with a local group. Took a little time, but much better than expected. There you go. There's some insights. Hextread says the Queen of Ruin from Creature Caster looks cool. How good do you know their resonance? Creature Caster comes pretty highly recommended, to be honest. Let me get in here and paint this handle. Separate his little fingies. Panel lining. What a treat. This little separation on his hand is probably just super important. Let's come back here and do the same. Inks the Kitsune says this Alpha Legion looks amazing. Well, thank you. We are trying to sort this out. Just gonna try to further dark line these panels. Guard Daddy says, I'm good, thanks. Finished up some conscripts. That's awesome. Hellblade says, oh, okay. I was actually planning on ordering a few characters from them as a gift to my brother, so I just wanted to be sure. Oh, there you go. There's also, I don't know if you're in the States or not, but in the U.S. we have a company called Dark Sword Miniatures. I love them for D&D minis. They have some of the coolest, their Critter Kingdoms line is so fun. Okay. Let's see if we can't get these feathers as well. Oh, give me just a few moments here, Guard Daddy. I got just a finite amount of paint to work with here, and it'll dry if I don't. Okay, it dried. Let's have a peek at these conscripts. Oh yeah, gray, white, looking good. Those conscripts are so spooky looking. I never know what to think of them. Just as a general sculpt, I like what you did with them. Let's see if we can rip this line. Painting these little lines. Sometimes tedious, but always worth the effort. One little line after the other. There really are no shortcuts in this thing. Pretty cool. How many conscripts do you have to paint there, God Daddy? If you guys like, we're gonna start watching me struggle on a power weapon here very soon. How did this dry already? Goodness. We'll get the music corrected here in just a second. Music. Carday says, sadly, work has got remote meetings worked out to be. Been doing lots of video conferencing. Okay. It's good that work's still going on, though. Worked out, so been doing a lot of video conferencing. Yeah, I these meat hands. Yeah, I think we're pretty much done with this, gent. I don't know what else we could really get into without doing these little bits of hosing, and I don't know what I want to see done with the hoses yet. So I think we're gonna leave them there for now. Start getting out some greens on the palette. Now, there it is. Trying to mix up this scurvy green. You can see the color difference. There we go. Between here and here. Give this a reasonably good shake here for a minute. And then we'll start smoothing out this blade. Scoop out. I suppose I should shake up the off-white here. So for white, I'm just going to be using an off-white that has a lot of yellow in it. Mix up a couple of tones here. If anybody's interested in how I work my blends, this is pretty much it. That, what's it, this scurvy green is a bit more powerful than I was expecting. Let's get another drop of our livery green out there. There we go. Much better. I was working on this yesterday and I was not very happy with it, so we're gonna probably, I don't know, like the 9th time, we're gonna redo this blade. To be fair, the first few times I hadn't really settled on what color I wanted it to be, so sorry if I've been missing some chat here. Over 60, Steven says, working remotely is cool. You can work in your underwear. Or no underwear, says Guard Daddy. That's Chemical Fencers laughing at Over 60 says, unless you have a wide camera lens in that web meeting, you better turn that wide angle up. You want to do the north-south cam like I do, run that east-west. Hamburger, not hot dog, huh? Over 60 says, not at my age. Guard Daddy with an Instagram link says, she is the second company commander, going to be gray, but bright pink hair. I like vibrant colors on the tabletop, so let's have a look here. Oh, that braid's going to be sick if you get it popping with that punk pink. I like it. I like it. Alright, now this had like a moment to start drying. Probably get a little transition here, keep it a little soft. Yeah, I like that much more than what I had going before. Feather this transition a bit better. It's quite a bit darker than maybe I needed it to be. Hopefully we can get this to transition correctly. Try not to have too much paint on the brush. Blow out the blend. It's looking better though. Get some more of this. Perhaps a little bit of this here at the end. That side looks pretty darn smooth. Let's see if we can get the other side to look half as creamy. Not too mad here at the top. I think that's pretty good. Now this transition here, quite a bit more elaborate. Blending is a labor of love, I think. One, you got to make sure your colors want to blend together, so they got to be pigment biased correctly. And then brush pressure, amount of brush or paint on the brush, all of that goes into it. Get Guard Daddy says, I've never been able to do swords like that. What are the steps? Well, so right here we're working with some greens. So on this side, I've got my darkest green. I'll just line it up for you. We've got Scurvy green. This is our darkest color for the green. And then we have Livery green. And then we have just a yellowish off-white. This is Men Off the White highlight from Privateer Press, but just an off-white that has yellow in it. And so here on the transition, we started with the Scurvy, and we mixed, oops, I just threw my paintbrush. We just started with the Scurvy here, and we worked more and more of that Livery green into it until we got the full Livery, and then I've mixed in a little bit of that Men Off the White highlight, that yellowish color. And so here we're working our way around our little color wheel that we've made. And we're going from one end to the other. And where the transitions happen, we're just being a little more fussy with the colors. That's all. Making sure that they feather out. So like right here where the Scurvy and the first little bit of their highlight color touch, I'm just feathering it more and more. Just putting the brush down and agitating. Darker colors as we work darker, brighter colors as we're working towards the brightness. So like right here we're trying to make it seamlessly transition into the Scurvy. But now we're going to keep working further north. So like right now, we've got to get this to its brightest point. And this is only part of the illusion. The most important part comes here at the end. Just get our brightest color down here. Concentrated as we can. This sword actually has a defect in here. It's like a dimple. So I'm going to grab... This might ruin the whole thing. I'm going to grab our darker tone, something that's in here. I'm going to actually... Jumbo52. Well, thank you so much for that follow. Hopping in here making that corgi wiggle. How are you today? Paint this darker tone right into this divot. I'm actually we're gonna go full Scurvy on it. We're gonna go all the way to the other end of the palette. Steady hand. Okay. Actually probably looks pretty intriguing there. But the pattern is one side is dark to light, the other one is yes. And so you'll see them where they have like, it'll go dark to highlight, dark to highlight, dark to highlight, dark to highlight the whole way, and then they'll offset on the other side. And I'm not there yet. Like I'm not ready for that. So here we just have that done, and then we're gonna take our Scurvy green, our dark tone. I'm just gonna rip this line down the middle. Hopefully we don't make any whoopsies. Okay, and so that's a nice separation there. We're going to grab our brighter tones here, maybe even brighter than we have for much of the blade. So this is a lot of that off-white. And up here in the highlight area, that's what I'm going to edge highlight with. Okay. And down here in this highlight, we're going to edge highlight with it again. Super, super bright. And then we're going to grab our next brighter tone here. Something a little bit back. And that's what we're going to edge highlight out the rest of the blade with. And the edge here, this is probably the most important part. Like after you get your blends as good as you can, like there's levels to everything. Some people are real good at that. So we're going to edge out the rest of the sword. And it kind of creates this nice illusion. I think I need to cut that edge a little bit sharper here. The resin isn't as crisp as the plastic, and so sometimes it'll get you. Tactical Booty says, gives the blade a metallic look without it being metallic. Yeah, a little bit of that. So this will sit right here. But that's just number one. Number two is get a finer brush. We've got to hit this inner piece. As I get up on this, I can see I'm pretty happy with the transitions, but they're not perfect. So make them a little bit better. You see I'm pulling my paint one direction here. So we're kind of working our way from the highlight, or from the shadow direction, and pulling the paint towards the highlight. And in some way pushes the paint, in other ways it erases it. But either way, because it's wet, they mix together. Where they meet, you just give it a little bit of a, oop, that's too much. Just give the brush a little agitate. They become a new color right there on the blade. Oop. Or we can tidy that up. Way too vibrant. Okay. Guard Daddy says I had my first. Wait a second. Did I miss anything? Yeah, There we are. Gardaddy says, I had my first Mini in the red plastic from Games Workshop. Seemed to be very sharp, clean sculpt. That's good. Better, I thought, than regular gray. Anyone else experience this, or just a perception? I can't imagine that their plastics are too much different, but perhaps they're in different factories. Perhaps it's a different recipe. Now, since I'm kind of meeting in the middle, we're going to start working from that other direction. The only other colors I've ever used of theirs was their... I've got an Age of Sigmar Easy Assemble Stormcast Eternal box I bought. There's a couple of the little Stormcast Eternals in it. Found they were nice. Mold lines and issues where they connect like canyons. Back and forth here. Here's that Stormcast Eternal. So it's not red, but it's gold. I found connected fairly well. There is issues like here where they snap together, and we've got the shield over here, but if we pop that off, look at this whole seam here where this robe connects. These are actually more complicated than they look to clean up. We got the Wacko Ninja Lab. What a name. Good morning, afternoon, wherever it might be for you. I'm just talking about some models here. These actually, to clean these up properly, you need to like file them away and make this crack quite a bit larger. So like you'd want to take this guy apart. Well, actually, this is a lady, but you take your model apart and you would sort of file back to either side so that this crack here was large enough for you to put some putty down into, but it's too big to like varnish over and think that it might seal. You might be able to get away with some glue, but probably not. Probably not. It runs the whole way up here in the shoulder. If I push her axe a little bit to the side, you can see we have another canyon over here. But yeah, that was my experience with the other types of plastic. Oh. 725. Let's see if we can't crack this out of the blue putty that it was in. Chemical Fencer says, "Adios, amigos. Have to and make bread for dinner tonight." There you go. I will be wrapping up here in the next 4 minutes or so, anyhow. So, thank you for stopping in. It was wonderful chatting, and hopefully you have a good start to your week. I'm going to let the blade dry a little bit before I crack it out of the rest of that. The rest of that glob over there. Yeah, I think we made some pretty good progress today. There's quite a bit to this gun yet. I suppose with our last few moments here, we can wash back the gun. Be quite a bit more liberal with the wash. Get some of these details to begin separating. Ty Grainer, hello. Oh shoot, I showed up at the end. Yeah, a little bit. How are you today? Thank you for stopping in, though. I'm only washing it liberally like this, excuse me, so that I can start to find the details, and then we'll come back and, a little fuzzy there, come back and be able to actually pick out where our raised edges are. This is, not to say a rough sculpt, but these older Forge World models tend to, in some way, lack crispness when it comes to how they were casted. So, but they got a lot of life to them. You just gotta pick them out, because everything in here was hand sculpted, which I like. I much prefer it to the 3D renders. Something with some life to it. Okay, and once that dries, then I'll be able to go back through and we can start picking out what these different edges actually are. Over 60 says, "Good night, heading to me coffin." Get some sleep before the sun comes up. Try, hopefully I'm saying that right. Ty Grainer says, Good. My buddy introduced me to 40K stuff. I don't play, but I've had fun making some fan art. There you go. Just checking out the mini painting scene. Well, welcome on in. We've been working on this guy. He's Alpha Legion, so he's a heretic. Some chaos. But been working on him as a commission. Here's his power weapon. We're going to continue smoothing out on these. This is the back side of it, so we're not going to really worry about the blends. Make sure I'm actually on camera here. I don't think I am. Haha. All right. Much better. We're not going to worry about smoothing this out too much more. But on this side, now that I have the pattern that I like, we're gonna get real intricate. Why is one armor red? Asks Inks. Why is his arm red? Because the person who commissioned this, Clan Wolf, has a whole scheme where in his army they have one black shoulder pad and one red arm on all of them. I do not have his example. He sent me with one of his. He's in my nice carry case for safety, but he showed me one of his soldiers and how they're laid out. And that's just his color scheme. People are weird. Everybody, you gotta have your own touch. It's hard to make something that's super established make it your own, you know? So, yeah, we've been working on this. We'll get the sword together. Here's some of the stuff we normally paint. I like busts. I like fantasy models myself. Sorsha here. She's coming along pretty nicely. And what else? Oh, thank you so much for that follow. Oh, here's another piece I can share. Some painterly skin tones. A little bit more of a artsy thing than super smooth, but it was fun to mix up the paints. So, Ty Grainer says, well, I'm glad I stopped by before my eyes dried open. I need sleep, but I'll catch you in the future. Well, thank you so much, and we'll catch you down the line. Inks the Kitsune says, but in 30K that are not tones for Marines, of Marines armies, they're the main legions. Yeah, I think Clanwolf's big into the lore as well, and he had whole reasons for everything. It's pretty clean too. He's like pre-heresy kind of colors, so he's not too war torn or anything. Yes, Ty Grainer links are absolutely permitted if they're not spammy and they're art related. We love them. All art is good. Trill Iron says, well, I had fun watching, lurking actually. Going to play some COD Warzone now. Have fun for the rest of the stream. Well, thank you so much. I'm on the way out for my work day anyhow, so we're going to be wrapping up here directly. Ty Grainer linking up that Instagram. Oh yeah, got that fan art going. I don't actually have my Instagram account connected to my streaming rig here. So if you want, Ty, right down below, you can give me, if you give me a follow, I'll go through and check out all your art. We can be Insta-friendly. So I think I have the current whip of the Warhammer 40K on there, or close to it at least. Yeah, you got some Ultramarines rocking. Absolutely. So yeah, we're wrapping up this commission, and then we're on to Motor City Ray's Drycha. We're going to continue getting her base coated in, and then we'll start detailing and bringing up the contrast on her. I'm super stoked to get into that. And I've got a fun Robin miniature we're going to be starting soon. He's getting ready to get primed up tomorrow or the day after tops. All right, so I'm going to leave everyone to it. Let's see who we can go visit today. Who is online? Anybody know? Who to go raid? Brush for Hire is starting out. We go see Brush. Anybody opposed to that? Let's see here. All right, everyone. We're going to go see Brush for Hire. An incredible artist. Fantastic personality. Good people. Let's, we're just going to hope that everything goes well today. It's Monday. Monday should be a good day. And, you know, don't let the circumstances of the world get you down too much, huh? right, everything's on the way. We got. It's been an incredible couple of weeks here, months actually, with the stream. And if you have emotes when you get to Brush's stream, spam them. Let them know where you came from. And we'll chat with you down the line. Inks Kitsune says, I also say it's weird because the whole idea of Alpha Legion, they're meant to all look the same, so you can't tell who is who. Well, you know, if we ever do your Alpha Legion, Inks, we'll make them all look identical. But his Alpha Legion all have red arms, so there you go.